Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third day of the Manila PTG. So today we have a lot to cover. We've discussed a lot of other things during this week. If you would like to get back on those discussions and see what we talked about and some of the decisions we took, please take a look at the recordings. They are all in the OpenStack Manila YouTube channel, and they are also linked here. Like I've created a playlist and all of everything from this PTG is already updated to the playlist. So yeah, please keep that in mind in case you want to get back and look at some discussions and what were our thoughts on something. Sharing the PTG Etherpad with you. Yeah, today we have a couple of topics. I think we can just get started and yeah, we have a lot to cover today. So first up, we have NetApp driver enforcing limits per AJ pair. So Girish, floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Carlos. I'm audible, right?
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
So
thank
would
you.
you like me to continue with the screen share, or would you like you to take it over?
Yeah, you can just control everything. That will be fine for me.
Awesome, thank you.
Uh,
Uh, yeah,
Girish,
yeah, okay.
this is Sai. I would like to go first. Can you go second next to me? I have one more at 14:30.
Yeah,
So
yeah, sure. Yeah,
jump into
sure.
that meeting. Yeah. So
Yeah,
Carlos,
so
is that okay? We'll swap the presentations. Yeah. I would like
Yeah,
to go first.
yeah, sure,
Um,
that works.
okay, fine.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Girish and
go ahead.
Carlos. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Please open. Yeah. Yes, that's all. Your controlling is fine for me. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
Awesome.
So
Please
yeah.
go ahead.
Hello. Yeah. Yeah. Hello, this is Sai from NetApp, and the feature that I'm going to implement is the proposal is that currently NetApp drivers rely on the basic authentication to talk to the storage systems. The when I mean basic, it's only username and password that we have now. So we would like to enhance the security of our system, and we would like to implement certificate-based authentication. And we have actually a few requests from the customers as well. So we would like to take up this task, this sprint. So here, how it goes is currently we would like to implement two types of CBA, which is certificate-based authentication. One is self-sign, and second is a third party. So coming to the first one, it is self-signed. It will be signed by the entity itself, and there we will have two files. I'm not going to the each line. I'm just telling the high level what is self-signed. So we will have two files. One is it's a 15th line. If you see private key file and certificate file, these are needed for the self-signed certificate. And for the third-party certificate authentication, it will be signed by a certificate authority, which is called CA signed. The 20th line, Carlos. Yeah. So if you go a little more down, uh, we will require three files for this. One is a private key file, certificate file, and last one is a CA cert file. So these three will be required to authenticate the CA certificate. So the present workflow is we only have, as I said, username and password. Yeah. Can you scroll down? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So that's how it goes. If you see 35th line in manila.conf, we are giving for the NetApp backend, NetApp login and NetApp password, which is a basic. And what we are proposing is we would like to come up with a few files, that is three files in manila.conf by adding one more this one parameter called NetApp auth type. If we see the 48th line, this is what we are proposing. NetApp auth type is equal to basic or cert. This will be optional. If you are not giving this parameter at all, we will be considering it as a basic. And if you are giving and mentioning basic or cert, we will go with the options. So say if you are giving basic, we'll go with the two options. But if you are giving it as cert, coming to the 56th line, if the NetApp auth type is cert, we expect below two fields for the self-signed certificate. As I explained earlier, self-signed certificate will be needing two files. One is private key and certificate. So if you are giving these two, we will consider it as self-signed. And if you are giving all three files, like 62, 63, 64th line, we will take it as a CA signed file. So this is what we would like to implement. So before going to the open questions, I would like to know if any doubts. Yeah.
Hey Sai, so on in the NetApp driver right now, you have
Mhm.
support for the SSL path.
Yes,
So
SSL
it's
cert, right?
yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
So I'm wondering how different is this? Because you could plumb in SSL certificates, including self-signed ones, in the current driver.
Okay. I actually have seen that option, and
Mm.
I thought it's a different one. I couldn't explore much on this. Maybe
Communication.
I would like to take a look on this. It's only for, I thought it's only for the HTTPS communication and SSL things, right? So here we are coming up with the different cert
Yeah.
files, right?
I
Okay.
see.
Okay.
Okay, so this is auth as opposed to the HTTPS aspect.
Huh.
Okay, makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So what? Yeah, I think the open questions seem interesting to me. Then, so technically, you can still use this SSL cert path, um, and still with these new options that you're introducing. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. But this SSL cert path, right? I don't really have confidence on this actually because I didn't go through completely.
Mm.
Do you mean that these three files, whatever I'm proposing, can be given to this SSL cert path by any way?
It depends, I think. I'm not sure how the authentication works over here, but it looks
Okay,
like you have the same CA certificate path and the cert path uh,
okay,
as options. So I feel
okay.
like I don't know. I don't know if that's how authentication can work on the NetApp
See
hardware.
that SSL cert path, that is, see today when you talk to ONTAP, right, we use HTTP, so no certificate involved. And but if you want to use HTTPS communication with ONTAP, right? So generally when you go to any browser, if you use HTTPS in the URL, right? So one pop-up will come where we will say, okay, we authorize the certificate, then we can log into the site, right? So that this SSL cert path is all about that HTTPS way of communication. So that is still like a username password based. Even though you certify that the certificate is good, still you have to use username password for further communication. So that's
Right.
what yeah, it's a set path. But what Sai is talking about here, right? Here we are eliminating using the username password because what happens in industry, right? Nowadays, because of that all the security constraints, like every 3 months, people have to change the username password. So because of we rely on username password, and they have to come and change this password every three, I mean every quarter in Manila.conf. But if it is certificate, right, they can simply extend that the duration of validity. Like example, they create three months certificate validity, and they can extend to 6 months or 1 year, 2 years. So certificate is having longer time of expiry than that username password. So here we eliminate username password. We directly, even anything we talk to ONTAP, we directly talk only via these three files. Okay, so nothing else is needed. So totally it's like a different auth model, and that's what we need to implement. And so other products in NetApp, they support that, and only like in OpenStack we don't support that, and that's what customers are asking, and we are planning to do that. Gautam, clear, right? That's what.
Yeah, makes
Yes,
sense.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes. Thank you, Saranam, for
yeah,
pitching
yeah.
it. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Mm.
So, any more questions, guys? Yeah. Okay, so we would like to move to, for the open questions. So for the first one, right, for the container-based deployments like ROS we did last cycle and Red Hat, Kola, Ansible, right? So how these files will be copied to the particular container folders? So we are actually not sure from Red Hat side or Kola, right? So we would like to understand that because whatever we are giving in manila.conf, we'll be giving three files from the local. So how these copy will be done to the containers? Do we need to make any changes from our side, or do you support that automatically you take it and put it there inside the container?
Yeah, so there are mechanisms to mount files into pods.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure on the Cola side, but let's say
Yeah,
the Red
yeah.
Hat OpenStack services on OpenShift,
Mhm.
you have an option called extra mounts.
Mhm.
And what that would mean is you could mount anything you want. It could be a local directory. You could create a config map. You could create a secret, whatever you'd like mounted onto the pod. You can
So
configure through that.
So yeah, today maybe add to that. Today we deploy via triple O, right? So triple O is creating the container, and basically like we give all the inputs via the YAML file, right? And yeah, so I know once container is up, yeah, but the question is like maybe in the YAML, how we'll pass these three inputs, and but even end of the day, right? That through using this YAML, Red Hat OpenStack creates pods, right? So this has to happen systematically, right? Like so only so that's where like Sai is having this question.
Yeah, yeah. So I would
Uh,
assume that you've
uh,
seeded the certificate into a PV perhaps, or
okay,
you've created a config map with the
okay,
contents of the
okay.
certificates and
Country
the
email. Uh,
whatever goes in onto those places, I suppose.
okay,
So there are primitives that you could use and choices.
okay,
I'm
okay.
not sure if one is better than the other, but
Mm,
it would be pretty straightforward then,
mm,
if you've plumbed it in that these pods will
and
just pick it up.
okay, okay.
And
Actually, we
right
thought
now
about yeah. Mm,
with triple O, I mean, I don't, I hope you don't have to worry about this problem with triple O. Triple O is going away, but it still
mm,
exists in the wild, right? So, but I
mm,
hope,
yeah,
I mean, today if you want to do something like this, there is an option even with triple O. Except I think I mean, you start with pushing the files onto the controller nodes first locally, and then there is each of those containers has a variable that you can set up with triple O. I think it's called extra volumes or something. Um, uh,
okay,
so it might be Manila share extra volumes or something that you would have to specify, and then you have that local directory on the container that gets mounted onto the sorry, local directory on the host, on the controller host, that gets mounted onto the container.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, this is good. Actually, me and Sai we thought about having a file, and we can copy the file because that's what we saw in Cinder, right? Cinder, there is one workflow, and we saw like it's manually copying the file from outside to inside container. So maybe we thought about following that, but you thought, I mean, you mentioned about using the latest tech, right? Yeah, we can use config map, and we can, yeah, like, yeah, we'll explore this path as well, Gautam. Yeah.
Awesome. And I think Stigs responded about Cola.
Uh, what
Yeah.
is it?
Hi.
Sai, you want to mention about what Alan mentioned yesterday?
No, no. Somebody, what Gautam
Uh,
is telling, some I don't know.
Yeah,
Swig, yeah, he responded for cola. Thank you. I mean, I just saw his comment. Carlos wrote, we got
Yeah.
some answer
oh,
for cola also. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. To continue, then copy. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Swig, and yeah, Gautam. And anything, right? We will explore and come back and ask you guys. Thank you so
Mm.
much. Yeah. Yeah. For the second open question, do any of you feel that we need to use Trust Store for this kind of certificates? Because I don't know if there is a Trust Store already in Manila which we can reuse, or do we need to build one?
I think that's the option that I was referring to as well. So technically,
Ah,
there was a way to configure a custom trust store
mhm.
for SSL auth.
Okay.
So I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure, if that was not um, sufficient.
Mhm.
That's the part that I don't know. I wish you could explore that stuff,
We
because
would,
I
yeah.
think it is a way to customize that directory onto
Okay.
on and it was reported in the Cola context, if I remember.
Mhm.
There must be a bug as well over here. Just a second. I'm just finding some
Mhm.
links out here.
Sure, sure, sure.
The precedent from Octavia is to use Barbican for SSL certificates.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
that we don't have integration for yet, and it is happening in a different, PR for doing shared encryption.
Okay.
But that seems like an interesting option too.
It should be available with the. Okay.
I'll just drop a couple of bugs onto that Etherpad.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Mhm. Okay, we will explore these bugs then. Yeah, I think we will do some study, and maybe we'll ping you if any doubts or any support needed. Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And I think so you have this issue with both the
Mhm.
on tap client, sorry, on tappy mode as well as the rest mode, right?
Yeah, yes, yes. It has to
Yes.
go to both places. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It should. It should. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank
Think.
you.
Thank you. I think that's all from our side. Thank you for the inputs, Gautam uh, and Swig. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Sai. Any other questions, comments, something else, Chad? If not, I think we've had some good questions here, and that sounds like a good use case. We understand like how it should work. So yeah, please ping if you have any other questions or something else to discuss. Otherwise, I think we will go like to the next discussion for this day, for today, which is Girish now. So yeah, Girish, first yours.
Yeah, thank you, Carlos. And hello, everyone. So, Carlos, could you please open the that Ethernet Etherpad link? Yeah.
Yes.
This is the one of the requirement from the SAP. So Morris and can give their feedback, or if my understanding is different, so they can correct me also here. So first, I will describe about the problem. So NetApp, we support the HA pair, means we have the two node 1 and node 2. And in case of the failover, secondary node will take over all the concept of the primary node. So so the problem here, what they have actually, so suppose that means we have some, we have the data limit for each node. So in the NetApp, it's very based on the on-tap version or different model actually. But normally that per node we support 1024 data lift. So this is the limit. So more that 1024 we can't get the data lift from the per node. So there is some trivial scenario. Suppose that in node 1 we have 800 lift and node 2 we have a 600 lift. And in case of the failure, means suppose node 1 node 2 has to um, take care of all the node.
Girish,
So when the
you're breaking, right?
lift
You guys
be
can hear him properly?
Yeah, it's
Your voice
breaking
is
as well
Still
for
breaking.
me.
breaking.
Yeah.
Breaking.
I think can you cover the use case again, Girish? Because we missed you that
I'm
node
audible.
1, node 2. Yeah.
Okay, I'm audible, right?
And now it looks okay.
Yeah.
Can you try? Yeah.
Okay. So suppose I have the two node. So
Yeah.
suppose that in node 1 I have 700 lift, node
Mm.
2 I have 600 lift. Suppose that node 1 goes down, so 700 lift on the node 1 will migrate to the node 2. but node 2 limit is 1024. And in this case, actually, there will be issue in the failover. So failover is not taken properly. So how to solve this kind of problem? Actually, I have proposed the three ideas. So now I hope that we got the problem right. So we have node 1, node 2. Node 1 have the 700 data lift. Node 2 have suppose 600 data lift. If node 1 goes down, all 700 data lift will migrate to node 2. But node 2 limit is 1024, which is more than if we're adding the node 1 plus node 2 data lift. In this case, there is problem with the failover. So fixing this one, I have three ideas. Okay. So first idea is actually, so in our Manila backend pool, we will populating or we will adding the two capability. One is how much data currently data lift we have in node 1 and node 2. That is suppose that is D1 plus D2. Second is how many max data lift supported by per node. Suppose that is MD1. And based on this capability, sorry, just want to correct, actually we will not add this capability, but we will get those information from the on tab. And there is one capability like NetApp restrict lift per HAPR, or we can add something like NetApp support lift limit per HAPR. So that will be calculated either true and false based on this one, D1 plus D2 minus D1 should be more than 0. If it is more than 0, then it should be true. Otherwise, it should be false. So we are planning to add restrict lift per HAPR. This is the capability we are adding in the Manila pool. And when somebody creating the share for the, this is specifically for the DHSS2, he can pass this extra specs in share creation. And based on that, it will go and pick up the right pool. But the problem with this approach actually that getting the data lib per node that is not available in the rest. Only Zapi we can get that data. Second approach is actually, so we are planning to add one NetApp HAPR lift limit in our manila.conf file, and user can provide the data that each node how much data lift it can contain. It can what is the data lift limit for that node. And then based on this, whatever this option we're providing actually, if user is giving that option in our backend pool, we are adding we will add the how much data lift we have in the node 1 and node 2. Some capability I will add those one. And then when we are creating the share server creation will be based on this condition when NetApp HAPR lift limit is more than total data lift for the HAPR. So if it is true, then we will go and create the share server. Otherwise, we will throw the exception kind of things. And third idea is, so instead of putting in the manila.conf, actually, we can pass this parameter from our while share creation, this NetApp HA lift limit. And based on that one, actually, we'll go and create the share. So same logic, whatever in the idea two we have, we will put the same logic. All the differences, we'll passing this parameter um, from the extra specs. So for me, I think idea two is looking good compared to idea one, idea two. So my first priority should will be the idea two, and then idea one and idea three. So you can suggest me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think idea two sounds a bit cleaner. Yes. For idea three, it's like if you specify something during all of the shares creation, that can be a bit tricky, right? And I mean, and
Yeah.
every time you are creating a share, if you need to do something like that, I'm not sure if it would be ideal.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have a concern with the logic here. So technically,
Yeah.
right now we have a problem where there,
Mhm.
in some cases, you will not get HA, right? So if there is a failover, you have a problem, accessing your shares because
Right.
your lifts are not getting migrated over.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Right.
That seems like a pretty critical issue. And is that something that ONTAP has visibility for? Like, an operator of ONTAP will be able to see this situation is going to happen, um, because there's some sort of observability thing in ONTAP.
Yeah,
Like,
there are audit events and when migration failing, right? You get to see a lot of syslogs. Yeah, those kind of things are there,
Mhm.
but it is impacting the user. That's what SAP is more worried because of they can't go and fix manually all the times,
So
right? For
it's
example,
not something you can preemptively, avoid, is it?
uh,
I mean,
uh,
if I understand, sorry to cut you off, but if I understood this correctly, they would be able to get the amount of leaves that are being consumed at the moment, right? I mean, if you are an
yes.
administrator or if you are an operator, like you need to query that, but Manila would be able to. But also, like we need to ensure that this is, like something that we can get all of the leaves for the node, right? Or otherwise, if there are other leaves that are not created by Manila and we can see them, then it would be like another problem. I don't know. Did I get this right, or am I wrong with that?
So the logic which we are going to write, actually we will get all the lift, either those are created from the Manila or even means from the other way actually. So means we are restricting from the on tap side actually. So that logic, and for the HA pair, if it is not, even I think we can add the logic here. If it is not HA pair, we will not add this capability in our Manila pool. So Manila pool capability we will going to add only when user is providing NetApp HAPR lift limit in the manila.conf. In that case only we are adding this capability, and we will have this logic for lift creation. So that way I was thinking.
Yeah, my concern is that are there
Mhm.
on taps in the wild that have no HA? Is
mm,
is this a possibility? Because you seem to be
yeah.
designing this around the aspect that,
Mhm.
if this is in case the user would like the HA capability, then we would want to make sure that the lifts can't be created preemptively, and so on. Right?
Ideally, in production, most of the customer have the HAPR, but
Okay.
in normal test scenario, actually, like in our testing lab and those all things, we don't have actually. So
Oh, I see.
even
Yeah.
actually, if we are
Yeah.
providing this option NetApp HAPR lift limit, so user only can add this option if he is knowing about his environment. Okay, he has the HAPR, and he can put this restriction on the lift creation. If it is not adding this option, our workflow will be normal as currently we have actually. So this is user configured. Like he want to, okay, I want to restrict only that 800 left for per HAPR kind of things. So by knowing that he has the HAPR in their environment, he will add this option. Alongside, actually, if even
The-
we can just add the extra logic to make sure that even if it is not HAPR, so we will not put this kind of condition. Yes, sir.
No, no, that's what. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in case of non-HA pair, and user
Mm-hmm.
can you should not even configure this option. So it will
Right.
work like how it is working today. So we leave
Today.
everything to
Right.
ONTAP. So when user is creating 1025th leaf, which ONTAP doesn't support today, what happens?
Mm.
We leave it to ONTAP. ONTAP that leaf creation is tried. ONTAP throws error, and we report the error to the user. So then user will go and correct it. So all the logic will come in place only when this option is configured. Otherwise, the current behavior will continue. Yeah,
Right.
whatever we are doing today.
Yeah.
And
Even
HAPR,
adding it.
non-HAPR, yeah. One thing,
i-
HAPR, non-HAPR,
mm,
yeah, every enterprise customer will definitely go for HAPR. That's how NetApp is
so,
selling to everyone. And only case of ONTAP Select. So there are customers like ONTAP Select customers, right? And only those customers will get a single node. There also we recommend HA, but yeah, only some special cases single node is possible. But if the real physical box, mostly it will be like a two node only. Okay.
Okay, so if there
Yeah.
is a single node on tap, then you don't have this problem, correct?
Yeah, this problem will not be applicable, and yeah, so they no
yeah.
need to configure it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
Yeah.
that
my
Yeah.
concern is that it feels like a problem where you don't really need anything from the user. You have, I mean, you are going to have to ensure that you have space to create lifts in such a way that they have a failover partner. Um, so every time you create, you know, you detect the number of nodes. You know how many HA pairs exist and how many lifts you have to pre-create. So you're telling Manila that, and Manila is going and giving you a bunch of IPs and stuff to create your ports, right? So you have that information up front. So if you're not able to satisfy this aspect of HA, I think that seems like a critical upfront failure without needing any configuration. Um, so does that make sense? That's where I'm leading with this, saying I don't think as an end user or even an operator, I need to be worried about this. It feels like something that the driver should do always.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And secondly, I think when I'm looking at the bug, I have a totally different concern with this. But I don't know if,
Mhm.
Maurice, does this make sense in your environment? Like, would you be configuring it per backend as a, you know, the lift limits and so on? Is that how you envision the UX?
Well, this goes down to the fact that there is no discovery option for
Hmm.
this, because yeah, like stated in idea one, we cannot discover this limit with
Yeah.
REST API.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense. And
ideally, I do not want to have to configure this. So ideally, the driver would figure this out itself and set the right values. Yeah.
totally. And the discovery would help for, like, making this a solid case. But I think, I mean, I have some experience with this sort of limits thing that are not discoverable, right? It's based on tap releases and the hardware and so on. So if that part is previously known, I wonder if there's a way to plumb that data in, even if it's not discoverable. There could be like
Yeah, maybe it could be a dictionary in
a
the
dictionary in
driver
the
also.
driver, or not even in the driver, but something in something that Manila ships, a file that you could edit and add stuff for in case this changes.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because end users would typically not be worried about this. They just would worry about, hey, I want HA. I mean, I don't really want to have a problem where I'm not going to have a failover if something goes on in the back end.
Yeah, and usually we don't want over provisioning at that
Yeah,
point.
exactly. And I'm hoping we can prevent this from the get-go. If like, I mean, when I'm looking at the bug, you're saying that there could be some sort of a driver function and so on. So if we assume that if we don't have a way to read the current lift limit on ONTAP, but we know what the hardware family is and the ONTAP version is and so on. So there is this, so we know we know how to map that to a lift limit. From what I remember, I think this lift limit has been 1024 for a long time. And it also limits the number of V servers to the same limit because of this or something. Um, so I suppose this might be something that Girish and Saravanan, you folks can actually check with your ONTAP teams itself. Is this something that might change at all? If not, I think 1024 is a very good assumption to make, and surface that up to the scheduler such that somebody can write a function that says, I don't want over provisioning. So steer things away to a different place if I'm approaching this limit.
Yeah, Gautam, we will check. So yeah, um, yeah. So what should be the approach actually means?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I can recap. So
Mm,
my concern is that we're
mm,
optimizing for HA pair versus non-HA pair and so on. I feel like there is no use case for non-HA pair,
okay,
because as you said, nobody uses it, and if you have a single node, you don't really have this problem.
okay,
Um,
yeah,
so
right,
if so, I think the driver shouldn't worry about that,
okay,
and rather you should start surfacing whatever information that you're able to gather, such as how many lifts have been created right now,
right,
and you have a pre-configured set of limits that you're already aware of in the driver through some mechanism, and that mechanism, it would be nice if you can plumb it in as an operator, go fix it without having to change the code in Manila. But that's totally an optimization. So you have the limit somewhere. You look at the limit. You have the current lift count, and you
mm-hmm,
have a way to either prevent or surface that right up to the scheduler, so that somebody like an operator can write a driver, you know, a way, or a driver function even, to steer their provisioning in whatever way they want. So you prevent overfilling your uh, on tap nodes where there are a bunch of V servers. So but
mm-hmm.
there are you have other environments in your other storage clusters in your environment where you can
Mm-hmm.
satisfy that provisioning. So the scheduler does the job for you of figuring out where to put the load.
Yeah, so even if you see that first approach, which I'm taking, so from here actually even user no need to provide anything. So based on that, what is the current lift associated for the both node D1 and D2, and what is the limit actually when we can get that from the on tap? So based on that, actually we can add the one extra capability in the uh, Manila pool. And based on this capability, I think Schedule can pick up the pool, and it can go and create the means share for that. Means share creation is based on that Schedule things. The first approach. The problem with that approach actually, from rest we cannot figure out what is the data limit for the per node. It's
Okay.
available only for the JAPI.
On
So
Zappy.
it's
And
kind
there
of
is there
automatic.
no plan to implement it for REST, do you know?
Rest, I think we need to file the bug or RFE kind of things to the ONTAP team. So I don't know. They have to prioritize this one to fix actually. But the first approach is kind of automatic. Everything we are getting from the ONTAP,
Yeah.
and based on that, and we are putting the logic. We are putting the adding the capability actually in our Manila driver, and based on that, actually scheduler it will go and pick the right pool actually.
Yeah, I think the only downside
But
with sorry to interrupt. Please go ahead.
yeah, only that downside is actually that REST doesn't support actually how much data lift it support. But normally customer actually they have document, they know actually how much lift data lift we can create per node, and by default we can set it 1024, but we can give this option to the customer so they can configure that one. So based on that one we thought okay, idea 2 also fine. So like that.
Yeah, I think the only that there is only one downside with having this preset, which would be we always assume that this node or the cluster everything is only Manila is using it, because I mean if we configure that limit as like 1024, for example, we are pretty much assuming that no one else is using that. Of course, like it would be a premise for some people that like only Manila would be consuming that, but otherwise we would have no visibility on other leaves created there. So we could hit the limit earlier in case, in case there's someone else or any other leaves created outside Manila.
I'm hoping that, I mean, this is something that the NetApp driver will keep collecting 60 every 60 seconds, right, through the scheduler's interval. So it will keep reading through, what the current lift count is.
Yeah.
And it's not going
Yeah,
to discriminate between a NetApp, so yeah, Manila created lift and a non-Manila created lift.
Yes.
right, right. That's true. So yeah, we have one capability in our Manila pool, that is means all the lift means total lift for HAPR kind of things, which will get the data lift from the both the node, and we'll put that onto the uh, uh, put in the pool actually. So it's kind of reverse. First from the aggregate we need to find out the node, from the node we need to find out which is the HAPR of that one, then we need to write the logic actually to get the all the data lift for node 1 and node 2 like that, and then we can add that onto the pool actually.
So I think Chuan has a question on the chat, and I had a similar thought, given that I think there are currently some APIs today in the Manila NetApp driver where
Mhm.
there are no REST equivalents for an on-tappy behavior, and
Right.
so I think
Yes.
that part we just go ahead and use on-tappy anyway. So is that is that not an option that we could use? Or I don't know what a pass-through API is, John, if you want to explain.
Yeah, means even actually even REST is not available for that one. It will work even user means how our logic actually in our driver actually. So even REST is not available, it will invoke the JAPI workflow to get that information. So but going forward means recommendation is we should have both REST and the ZAP implementation. So because of that, actually, I have means even Servan also raising this question. If we don't have this REST available, then why should go with this approach, the first approach?
So no, I agree, and this is something where you'll file a BERT and wait until the capability comes, right? But today
Yeah,
there are other things in the driver that are plumbed like that. Even if you're
yeah,
using REST
that's true.
only,
That
you're going to
that true.
invoke the ONTAP.
Right.
And I think people are going to be used to this behavior if they're starting to use those features. Um, so that would be my suggestion, saying this feels too heavyweight to try to place, because here's a UX. I feel like the operator should not worry about this. It is
Okay.
something that
Okay.
the driver can definitely do smartly, and neither the operator nor the user should need to worry too much about
Okay.
this
Okay.
kind of let's go gather the stats kind of a thing. But of course,
Yeah.
the driver can help them out by surfacing the stats to the scheduler, and the operator knows how to work with the scheduler.
Okay. I think then idea first one is fine. I think even rest is not available, it will go to JAPI code and get that information.
Yeah. What do you think? I think Chuan and Maurice would have better ideas on what this will look like in their cloud, I think.
Yeah, just maybe just repeating what this pass-through API is. So this is not um, using the that API, but it is actually a REST API call, because at some point in time in a very near future the old API will be deactivated, and so we should not fall back to using the old API, but using this exact method that is officially a REST API, but it is meant to be used to fall back to the old methods. So just to get that clear.
So which one you suggest? Means idea one is fine to implement or idea two, Morish? Means
Yeah,
even suppose that there is no support for.
the idea is fine. Yeah, just at one point with the please use the REST API. So there is REST API available for cores that are not really implemented to as an admin. But I would still call this REST API. It's just it's not the old SAPI.
Okay, so
Yeah, exactly that. documentation there.
That's just a duplicate of what's your phone. It's a
That's a cool option. Didn't know that existed. Thanks for bringing it up.
Awesome. Any other thoughts?
Nothing from me. I think Girish can explore these and fill us in again in case this doesn't work.
Well, and
Yeah.
another thought. Maybe this shouldn't be a problem of the client at all, and maybe this can be fixed in ONTAP.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. There should be a way to prevent bad things from happening from the get-go, if there's a possibility.
I mean, you have the direct contacts. Maybe you can file a bug with the ONTAP engineering tool or something.
Yeah, sure. Once again, actually, I will check with the OnTap team, and even I will talk to my manager Rajesh. How prompt they are actually to means fixing that RFC for the OpenStack point of view. So based on that, actually, I will communicate you guys, and we will see that which will the better means option for implementing this.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Any more question? Yeah. Hello, I'm audible?
Yes, you are. So no
Yeah.
other questions
Okay.
from me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for providing your idea. Thank you very much. Thanks, Carlos. Thanks,
Awesome.
God. Morish. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Girish. Yeah, it was great to have you sharing this with us. Thanks for pursuing this. All right, so we are feel like we're kind of very right in the schedule. We have a 5 minute break scheduled now. So how about we take that? Yeah, we'll be back at 14:55. So, and I will stop this recording. Then we'll start a new one later.